Welcome to Specimen 1. This is a cargo port match on 8.3. Now, this is the first situation, which isn't that ridiculous, but as you will soon see, it gets much worse. Currently, there is no one rendered in front, but there will be a T-55 very soon. As you can see, can't hear any noise. He just popped in. You could see him. That's completely fine. He's out of line of sight, right? So, and probably line of look, no noise. He only now starts making noise when it's too late to react, and like 2 seconds after he pops into my line of sight. Obviously, I die here. Not much I can do. So I take the Sheridan here. I go to the exact same spot because I saw that the ITPSV just died to a term 3. And so that's the term, by the way. Listen, he makes no noise. Right? He's 0.2 kilometers away from me. Bear that distance in mind. So, I am gonna stop, listen for enemy engines. I don't hear anything. So you would assume that it's safe and that you could go engage the guy that's on C. But now we're gonna do something that triggers enemies to render in. There are two main triggers: MG fire and drones. Those are the things that trigger people to render in. I'm sorry for my horrible explanation skills. So if the enemy fires his MG, there's a high chance they will render in. Or if they fire their main gun. Essentially, if they fire anything. Or if you go into a drone, that means that the game has to render more, because it would really suck if you wouldn't be able to see enemies even in the drone view. So, I switch into the drone, and look. The second I switch to the drone, this leopard renders in. Take a note of how loud his engine is, how loud this noise is. That means I should be able to hear him much sooner if he had rendered in at a greater distance and faded in gradually instead of just popping in the second I switched to the drone. If I didn't switch to the drone, he would render in later, I think. And this is already 0.19. That term 3 was 0.22. And neither the term 3 and neither this guy was making any noise, which means that none of them were rendered in, and that the term 3 should have been making noise as well, because he was basically really close to me. Listen how loud his engine is, right? There is no gradual pop in. I get rid of him here. Again, had I not taken my drone and I went to after the term 3 that is currently decapping C, I would have gotten killed because I had no idea that there was an enemy rushing my right side. And even if he started making noise where I was like, for example, here, or I checked my side and I was going like 30 or 20, I wouldn't have enough time to react. Sitting here editing this video, and I noticed something funny. Watch the next clip and tell me that because this T-55 is 0.22 kilometers away from me, right? Bear in mind that's the same distance that the leopard was away from me, but the leopard was hidden behind a building, which should muffle the sound, but the leopard was super audible, and this T-55 that killed me is absolutely inaudible. Look how ridiculous the profile for the sound fade in and fade out for this T-55 is. Now, I don't know if this is caused by the sound files themselves, or if it's just because it was behind me, or if it's because of the replay. Either way, I did not hear him at this distance in game. You hear nothing, see nothing. He isn't even rendered in, this guy that's gonna kill me in a few seconds. Watch. So yeah, I think that's everything for like out of the examples I wanted to show you for this video. I wanted this to be more like about me killing people, or like I wanted to have one example where it's me killing a guy because we got fucked over by the sound of his eye, so it didn't just seem like it's me wallowing about, dying to someone who made no noise. Anytime I try to explain this to someone, I get called out on a skill issue. And again, this is not a definitive answer. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm looking for some input as well in the comments. But I do think that the leopard incident is obviously just what it is. It's well visible that this anti-cheater measure, where you can see everyone across the map, is just dysfunctional and should not be this aggressive, because it just leads to situations like these. As for the T55, I don't know if that was just a problem with the replay, or if the profile is really, the sound profile where it fades out is just this aggressive, which if that's the case, that's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. I do think that you should be able to hear tanks from like 500 meters reliably when they're moving. Like, I think that's fair. 500, 700 meters. 700 meters may be a bit too much. I'm not a sound engineer, I just know how loud tanks are IRL. And sound is probably like the second most important thing you have to get right in a game like this, because sound inconsistency and sound issue just leads to frustration, which, yeah, as I already know that frustration is Gaijin's game. Frustrate the player so that they buy a premium to progress faster to the sweet ass top tier they saw in YouTube videos. But there is a fine line where this becomes counterproductive, and I think that with the recent issues that this game has, it's really starting to like tip the balance, and it's time for the community to, I think, stand up, or at least for people who are frustrated with this to vote with their wallets and not be desperate to consume and to buy premium so they can get to top tier faster. I'm gonna say one thing: I have top tier in 4 nations, and it's not fun. The best tiers, in my opinion, are 6.7 to 8.7, even though there are things like the Gepard, ITVSV, Charm 3, these overpowered demons that overperform. It's still a fun VR. There's a lot of interesting vehicles with different playstyles, and there is less copy-paste vehicles. I feel like every nation has something interesting to offer in that bracket. Even if it's not exactly meta, for example, the AMX 10 RC is interesting, stuff like that. So yeah, I just think the community should do something about this, and because Gaijin currently has no competition, right? World of Tanks is dying, Armored Warfare, I haven't heard about that game in years, and they have a loyal player base, and they will try to abuse that and milk money as much as they can. And if people buy premium packs, which they will, this will probably never change. It just frustrates me, right? Because this game charges AAA game money for premiums, and those premiums are very rarely modeled. For example, if you take a look at something like DCS, the planes cost the same, but in DCS they are way better modeled, and the game overall is a much less broken package. Of course, that's comparing two different styles of games. But still, the game should be in a better state, could be in a better state if Gaijin wasn't just busy adding more premium leopards. It is obviously frustration talking out of me, because this just happens so often nowadays. I felt like getting this video out and showing people that this is an issue, and that this is an issue that I believe would be an easy fix. We have pretty good anti-cheat now. We can get rid of this, or just set it to like be way less aggressive, because it isn't like unknown of cases where the enemy who shoots you, you can't even see him. But that's, I think, about it, about everything I wanted to say in this video. I appreciate you finishing this video, and I hope you can vote with your wallet. I haven't bought premium account. I haven't bought a premium in half a year, even though I used to buy them quite a lot, just because I refuse to spend money on this game in this state. It's frustrating, and it then makes me also feel much less compelled to play this game and get frustrated, because if I buy a premium then don't play the game, I feel like I wasted my money away. Again, I know that the community can change this. They just must have to, and I feel like they don't, or maybe people just don't experience this as often as I do, or don't realize that it might be the game at fault. I just hope this video brought you something. that you might stop like being this aggressive at the game just because it's not your fault. It's, well, maybe most of the time it is your fault. I know it's my fault most of the time, but the game kind of doesn't help you to do better with problems like this. I'm just rambling on about nonsense. I thank you for your time, I guess. Have a good one.